Oh my god! Hola todos! Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to continue building my creative studio brand. To recap, in the last episode, I learned how to start with a purpose, and I also identified my brand values. And if you remember, I had said that my brand purpose was to bring stories to life, which was like a rough edit. And also I had defined my brand values as diversity, authenticity, fun, creativity, and I had said precision, but I changed that into vision because I wanted to include vision into my purpose, which can also function as a slogan. And I'm actually going to reference the presentation that I started. This is eventually going to turn into my brand guidelines. Obviously, there's no design on there because I haven't developed my aesthetics yet. So for brand purpose, I came up with creativity meets vision, creating with purpose, connecting through stories, and also diverse stories, authentic voices, bold vision. I'm really liking the last one as the slogan, and then the other two can be supporting statements. And to review the brand values, I had said diversity, which means I embrace different voices, perspective, and audiences. With authenticity, I help brands show up real and true. By making it fun, I make the creative process exciting and energizing. Through creativity, I thrive on fresh ideas and originality. And finally, vision, I guide brands towards a bigger picture and a long-term impact. Now that we've recapped last episode, today we are going to go over how to find your tribe and adding some personality to your brand. So the lesson on finding your tribe was basically teaching us how to build a buyer persona. I'm already aware of that, but the way that they have structured it, it makes it seem like it's a little bit disconnected. So they emphasize that by building your brand, you need to understand who you're talking to, what they need, what their admin needs are, what their pain points are, and you obviously categorize people based on demographics and interests. And so for me to define like who I'm talking to, I guess I can start by the clients that I have now, which I guess would be founders. Not that I always want to work with companies that are being founded, in the future I want to work with companies that have bigger budgets, but that's just my audience for right now. And I would say that the people in my tribe are creative like me, they are unique, ambitious. Okay, now that I've identified who I'm talking to at this stage of my career, what do they need? They need creative ideation and execution, and marketing strategy. And finally, what are their pain points? I'm actually gonna do some research on what some pain points are. Based on this image I'm finding here, I see that there are 4 types of customer pain points. One is financial, the other one is productivity, process, and support. So based on the clients that I have right now, I can identify that one of the pain points is obviously productivity. Another one is process. Obviously, they need me to do all these services, and support. Obviously, this is just a rough draft, and I'm going to continue tinkering with it and expanding what that actually means in practice. So now that I've identified who my tribe is, and obviously this is a rough draft and I'm going to continue tinkering with it, I'm going to move on to finding my brand personality, or rather create it. No, find it. So in the Canva course, they explain why it's so important for your brand to have a personality, and that's to help people identify with you, whether or not they want to work with you, if you're interesting, if you are funny. They also went into brand archetypes and also think about some adjectives to describe your brand. One thing that I really liked is that they had this diagram that was playful on one end, serious on the other, youthful, mature, mass, and elite, and you kind of have to decide where your brand falls in that spectrum. And I would say that I'm more on the playful side rather than serious. I would say I'm in between youthful and mature. I'm obviously not super serious, but I'm also not super immature, like I'm in between. And between mass and elite, I would say that I'm geared more towards elite, because I'm not an e-commerce platform. I'm not here to sell to the masses. There's only a handful of people that I can cater to. And so with that in mind, I'm going to Google what are some of the brand archetypes and decide which ones I resonate with. So looking at this chart here, it looks like there are 4 categories for brand archetypes. They are explore spirituality, leave legacy, pursue connection, and provide structure. Just looking at these categories, I would say that I resonate more with pursuing connection and providing structure. But I'm curious to know how many brand archetypes can I choose for my brand. And looking here, it says that you should typically have 1 primary brand archetype, as this creates a strong, clear, consistent brand identity. However, you can also have a second brand archetype to add depth and nuance to your brand, similar to how Apple is seen as both a creator and a magician. So looking at these categories, I resonate most with providing structure, obviously, and exploring spirituality. And of all the archetypes, I would say that my primary one would be a creator. Me and my creator, really can make it up. The rules I break got me a place up on the radar. Anyway, intermission. So as a creator, I provide structure, and I think my secondary archetype would be explorer, because it's that Aquarius in me that seeks freedom, but also exploring the infinite ways to be creative. So for my brand archetypes, I'm going to choose creator and explorer, and I still have to look into some adjectives to describe my brand to help me develop that brand personality entirely. So there you have it. Today I've identified my tribe and developed my personality. Obviously this is a rough draft and I'm going to continue tinkering with it, and by the next episode you'll see that it's on my presentation. But that's it for today's episode of building my own creative brand, and stay tuned for next episode where I'm going to go into adding a name and building my logo. See you on the next one. Bye.